So we waved goodbye to the creative strategist and the design team.
Imagine like this is the goal, like this is like the dream that we've had like all the time, is that what if I will take myself and just multiply myself like multiple times?
Many agencies, they scale with the headcount and all those funny posts.
The window of the opportunity, because the guys who embrace this will eat a lot of market share.
So I'm working on firing video editors right now.
All right, back with a banger episode, the first one in 2026. Super excited to be back with two awesome guests. I have Andrei and Rus from the Tegra Agency. These guys are some of the smartest in the industry, especially on the agency side where they really crush it. And we're going to be talking about not just one, but two big topics. One is going to be cost controls on Meta, and then the other is how do you crush with Google today, especially in an ever-evolving world with AI? We have Claude Code, we have Claude Bot, all these crazy things happening that I know I'm just scratching the surface in, but these guys come from a developer background. I believe both of you have developer backgrounds, correct? Cool. So this is going to be super fun because we're not going to just combine the technical developer side, but also the practical, what happens from click to attribution of the conversion. So gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure, John. Thanks for inviting us.
We have a lot in common, not just our love for Professor Charlie T, who I'm sure is going to be watching this. Shout out to Charlie T, my man. Yeah. So guys, what are you working on and focused on as we come into this new year? Here it is February 2026 already.
All right. So thanks for having us. And what we work on is multiplying our expertise by utilizing AI as heavily as possible, because we used to be a team of more than 40 people at the end of 2023. Then, with all those automations, as long as we have the developers background, me and Rus, so we started to automate things. So copywriters went out first. Then we waved goodbye to media buyers because we preached the bit capped approach. And basically, there is no need in just button pushers in the team that can upload the creatives on Meta and then just watch what sticks. Now the creative strategists are waving hands because, the Claude became so smart and our processes became polished and automated. So we waved goodbye to the creative strategist and the design teams because GPT Image 1 was released in summer, then GPT Image 1.5, then Nana Banana, all with API access. So I'm working on firing video editors right now.
Nice. Guys that can basically take more or less something that's 90% of the way there and just clean it up and bring it together, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I think, like the main thing that, for majority audience, would be something that, to take away from our today's call is that we will show like this progression of, human interaction, human labor, kind of like heavy type of the processes, and how this can be automated through AI and our path, of doing so. Because again, we just, we just changed so dramatically like how we work with the brands by embracing the AI, by rebuilding the processes with AI, and we understood like the full power. Because we can see that developer communities like really see that, like for them it really takes like, okay, so this thing is not like I don't know, like what do you see what you got builder or something like that type of the moment. It's just like that moment is that AI is going at the end of the day replace a lot of roles, and in development niche it already replaced a lot of things. So I think it's coming for marketing now,
dude. 100%.
And I think those who are right now will embrace how to use that effectively and rebuild their processes and inject AI where it can be more efficient compared to how people can be efficient. Those probably survive this storm. But I think, it's just it's a great time, like in a way, to be alive, because so many things happening, so many things get easier to do and faster to do. But also it's concerning because you need to ride this wave instead of just being on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's interesting. I listen to a lot of guys that have content just about Claudebot or Claude Code and how it's like there's new stuff to talk about every day, if not every week, right? And I'm pessimistic in some ways, but I'm also extremely optimistic for the people that choose to embrace it, whether that's like your average day-to-day marketer, your developer, your media buyer, right? Like I'm technical to an extent, but I'm seeing like the power of just if you understand how to use the tools, you don't need to be a genius. You don't need to be the highest level developer to effectively use them. You'll probably need some input and feedback from someone that's super technical, but like the things we've been able to develop with our dev team plus Claude or just ourselves and like our ideas and then just getting feedback from my developer friends, it's incredible. Like I just finished a tool we are updating, I guess you could say, for mass video iteration production. So not only just like creating the videos through API with Sora and some other tools, and then now like what you're saying with bringing in editors, that's where probably there's a gap. And I don't know how, if that gap, in my opinion, I don't know if that gap between like something 90% of the way there based on the prompting and the how you structure it with your tools, and then the final finished version of it. I think that I don't know if and when that gap will close to where it's actually as far as videos. Images are another conversation, right?
Yeah.
But with videos, like I don't know if we're there yet. Well, I don't think we're there yet, and I don't know when or if we will be where it can actually truly be automated to the point where the video comes out and it's actually effective, like the way
Yeah,
we want it.
I think we were very close to that. I can tell you for sure, like in regards to the actual development, this is the time, especially with the most recent ones, GPT 5.3 and Opus 4.6. I have the moments when it's not like, oh, like what AI did is not up to the bar what I would expect it to do. I'm at the point where I see what it does, and it's just better than I anticipated, and it doesn't do like this, mistakes that we remember from 1 year from now, like when you need to like follow up or fix this, move this, etc. Uh, because Anthropic and OpenAI, they their main goal, the first goal is to create the model that is so good in coding. Why they did that? They did that because they wanted it to be so good to be able to improve itself, because what it works on the code rails pretty much. So that was the main priority. So they didn't go and they put, not like, you don't see that, like OpenAI or Anthropic's positioning as the marketing tool. Yeah, they added like image generation and video generation, etc. They're expanding, but their primary focus is that to build the tool that is so good at coding, so it continues to improve itself. And this is the foundation. So now they have it. And like in the things that we're building, for example, with Andre, it's just getting so good at this that it's just mind blowing, and it's better than you anticipated to be. So now, as soon as we have the model that can improve itself all the time, then we can go after some other things and improve in some other areas. And this is like where I think marketing and legal stuff and accounting, etc. Like all of that will start to improve so fast because the foundation is there. Because you have the model that is making itself better and better. I think OpenAI stated that 5.3 model, they even were involved that much into making this model. It's just like initially in the initial learnings, they tinkered something, but all of the rest of the improvement was by the model itself.
In your opinion, like you work with a lot of big brands, and I'm sure you have friends in other like parts of the ecosystem that are using this or not using it, other industries. From what I see, it's really like a very small percentage of the performance guys that are fully embracing this thing. Like,
Yeah.
are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And like we recently made a post on that, like me and Rust, like basically at the same time wrote the same thing, because like many agencies, scale with the headcount. And if they need more outcome, they would rather hire more media buyers, creative strategists, and all those funny posts, by the creative strategists on Twitter that said, "Oh, look what my team does this week," and then sharing 5 creatives. Like that's just nonsense, because like, okay, let me share the 500 creatives that I made today. I uploaded them in the ad account, got the feedback. So yeah, not that many guys are embracing this approach. So we are taking advantage of that, of the
Dude,
moment.
100%.
Yeah,
What
one thing that
yeah,
really helps to with this is that I've been a full stack developer for 8 years before I shifted to work in the marketing in 2017. So I think where it's coming from, that marketing guys are not embracing this because from architecture perspective, they most of them do not understand how to build these things, because they don't know, okay, so I can connect this API, I can use this CLI to make things automatic, I can connect Google Ads API to push my campaigns over there, I can connect Google Merchant Center API to check like what my feeds are, if there are any issues, etc. And AI can be connected to this, go ahead and just fix all of the things. So from architecture perspective, I think people who are in the marketing just do not understand that fully. We understand that because Andrei was working in the development. I was working as a full stack developer. So I just right away, as soon as we started to use, and we are using like some other things, but I think the pivoting point is using the Cloud Code, and what Cloud Code is possible is capable as soon as it's like just fully running on your machine, and you can do pretty much whatever and connect to whatever that has API. This is where I think people who are used to use like interfaces to do things, and the marketers who are using interfaces, they're kind of like losing on that. But I think it is going to change, because you mentioned this like with being like really technical to use these things. The thing with the cloud code, or overall with AI, is that you can learn as soon as you, like as long as you build, like you're building, and the model like doing the things, it's showing you like everything that it's doing. And this it's just like invaluable curriculum. You can just learn from AI so much by building. You just need to like have a starting point from where you're starting, and that usually comes from specialization, like we're talking about the marketing. So marketers understand, okay, so I need to print this amount of the creatives, I want this creative to be uploaded on the Meta ad account, I want the reporting to build like this way and that way, etc. So high level goals are there. So you need to take those high level goals, and you need to start throwing these goals that you try to achieve into the AI, and watch it's doing this in real time, and understand from the architecture perspective how these things are building. And this is where people who are not technical all of a sudden become very, at least like from architecture perspective, tech savvy, because they see how it's doing things. It's not a black box. It's just showing you like all the things that it's doing, and you become better and better. It's kind of like learning the new language. Like you just start very slow. You just pick, some things here and there, and then all of a sudden, because of your practice, you just see, oh, I can talk. And now I think the most valuable skill that you could have is just to be able to productively talk with AI.
the skill of using AI. Like that's really that's the future, right?
Yeah, and why I said talk, because this is funny, because there's different tools. I'm using Whisperflow, to communicate with the AI. Whisperflow is like allows you to hit the function button on your laptop, and you just speak. And it's very smart. It's using AI in the backend as well, just to transcript all you said, like in real time, pretty much, very fast. And now, as soon as I'm working with the cloud code or codecs for improving my processes for the internal tool, 90 to 95, maybe 95%, I'm just speaking. And I'm just throwing like whatever gibberish, because AI is very smart to pick like all of the things that you wanted to say. And right now it's so good to understand what you wanted to build, that sometimes I read like what I said, and I'm not really understanding fully like what I meant by that. But AI actually can understand and pick up important things and do what you want it to do.
That's
Crazy
awesome,
time.
man. What
Yeah.
now? So obviously, you guys are developers. You were early before like Claude Code really opened up the lot, like these more recent models. You were already developing through API, like your own internal tools. At one point, were you kind of at a crossroads of I'm going to go down the SaaS route and like deploy a SaaS? And was that in your mind as you saw how effective tools were internally?
Yeah, Andre, I
Well,
think Andre is very savvy, like in regards to that question.
yeah, so the SaaS idea came after I started developing those tools because I started developing them not because I need a SaaS and I wasn't guessing which next function do I need, like, or can I or should I offer to the community, right? Like, what does the community want? So I came from pains, right? So my media buyers screw the naming conventions, or they cannot just even the best Filipino guys, they got burned out pretty quickly uploading those ads. Like, and if you need to upload 200 ads per day, right, and do it on a daily basis, like the toughest person, no matter how much you pay, it will get burned pretty quickly. And the amount of the mistakes in the ad account, like missed links, naming conventions, URLs, whatever, the structures, like it will be screwed all the time. So this was the number one thing that was a game changer in terms of the operational speed of the entire business. So this was the first bottleneck, like significant bottleneck that allowed to basically launch infinite amount of the creatives. The second one, the second biggest unlock was the release of the public API of the image generation tool, GPT Image 1 first, then 1.5. Because even if you have the creative strategist that is in this position and his motivation is based on the performance, and performance is defined by the bid, the person is forced to produce as many creatives as needed, basically without the upper limit, to maintain the span to scale effectively. But like even if the person is motivated by the percentage of the ad spend, like they literally cannot produce 500 creatives per day. And I see like it's needed. It's not a spray and pray strategy. It's pure mathematically based strategy because we look at what gets the spend, read this data and produce more of those spenders. So like many people treat the creative volume as the spray and pray strategy, but no, it's the uh, purely statistically based approach when you get the feedback from the system and then launch more of those spenders. So getting back to the biggest unlocks that we found exactly were those two things. First, the image generation, and the second one, the creative uploader thing. Rather than that, the toughest part is to generate those prompts, right, that we use to generate images. But this is more of a text-based generative AI, and it was solved prior to image generation. So once we had the image generation solved, it just significantly unlocked both spans and effectiveness and the speed.
Yeah, but
So
in regards to the SaaS tool, like real quick, just wanted to add is that we actually sat down on the like with that one because, and this is like a little bit of advice, like for the guys who are really think, okay, so we have something internally, but we want to convert it into the SaaS. Not easy task because with SaaS you need to have the authentication system, you need to have billing in place, you need to have customer support, you need to maintain the interface as well. And the last one is pretty big one because people users used to use the interfaces like with the buttons and everything. Our agentic system is working like yeah, in the brackets of the code and execution, like in line with the agent. So now, every time that you add new features, you need to add, interface on top of it and maintain that front end that will be synced with your backend agents. It is not easy because we were pushing like every day a couple of updates on our side, our internal, tools improving like a couple of days per day because we're working on those. how you can, maintain this pace of updating the interface with your new features. So it's really hard. So that's why, like why I said that we set on the S, because I think we talked about the SaaS tool a lot in May or June last year,
I
and
remember, yeah.
we announced, okay, so we're going to release this. Let's just hop on a call and see like what you guys want. And we got booked with Andre for 2 weeks, like 6 or 7 calls per day. That was pretty crazy 2 weeks. We learned a lot. We After this sprint, we got back to building, and we understood pretty quickly is that the complexity is big because of these things that I just mentioned. So and then we've had a choice. Okay, so we always prioritize performance and the work that we do for the brands that we work with as a performance marketing team. And there is this SaaS thing. So, and for us, that was like, okay, so if we go into this SaaS, we probably will be under delivering on this part where brands rely on us on the performance, they rely on us to scale, etc. If we will go the SaaS road, we'll just probably will be catching like two things and will not catch any.
Yeah.
So that's when we just decided, okay, so we don't go that road. Maybe at some point, and we have the ideas actually like how to do that, but it's just like in our spare time. We're just working, constantly on improving the tooling that we have, that we deliver for the clients that we work with, and update that constantly. And we don't have this burden of, oh, we need to update the SaaS because there are users over there. So maybe at some point we will go that route. But just a little advice: it's not that easy as it looks like, and probably 80%, 90%. That's not the path that like the performance marketing team or the agency need to go, because you will have to choose at some point. You
Yeah, this
can't
Yeah,
just
I'm
with
with you on this, man. Like obviously I'm not a developer, but we built a tool. Happy to show you off recording what we built internally. It's super similar function wise to what you're doing with some other our own little bells and whistles. Like I'm sure you guys have your own tweaks to it. And I was thinking, man, this is saving us so much time and like reducing errors with naming conventions, mass deploying across 10 ad accounts, the same bundle that if we choose to, right? And then we have some tools on the creative production side as well. So we like very similar, it sounds like in like objective around the tools. I was like, man, so many people, and I paid developers to build it with me. So I'm like 20, 30 G's in at this point. Plus the errors via API, that was like another 50 grand. So it got pretty expensive. I was like, this is pretty badass. I see the value for us internally. Maybe we go to the SaaS route, but I'm beginning to think the more we use it and the more we have to keep tweaking it to like just for our own purposes, it's the value, especially as fast as AI is moving right now, the value to use it to our own benefit to service is probably becoming more valuable, not yet, but over time versus deploying it as a SaaS to scale. Like just right, because
yeah,
also with the compression of the barrier of entry to a dummy, like an idiot to deploying AI and Claude Code effectively is getting lower and lower by the minute, right?
yeah.
So there may come a point where that's it, that dummy that's never opened the computer before can start using Claude Code and have something similar in a matter of days or weeks, right?
Yeah.
So
And this
yeah.
is important to build this mode as well. Like I can tell you for sure, like I really foresee that we will see like in the next couple of years, there will be, some, some agencies, performance marketing teams, whatever you call them, under 10 people or under 5 people, or even like one-time bands over there, just moving millions and millions of monthly ad spend
maybe
themselves.
more, maybe tens of millions.
Yeah, and I see that, and we will see also like in SaaS businesses and other businesses as well, when there is just one person who actually started like really early, understood how AI works, and started to build like his internal processes and just to multiply. Imagine like this is the goal, like this is like the dream that we've had like all the time, is that what if I will take myself and just multiply myself like multiple times? But okay, but with AI and especially with the pace, how good the models become, day after day, you can multiply yourself with the so much better versions than yourself, and do it indefinitely as soon as you pay the bills to Anthropic and OpenAI. So
Guys,
crazy, crazy times.
we could probably just talk for the next 3 hours about this, but
Yeah.
let's we'll do a follow-up podcast maybe in a few weeks or a few months, just like reviewing changes, because we'll have a million things to talk about and how fast things have progressed. But let's jump into the media buying before we forget. So Facebook, let's talk, or Meta, if you will. Tell me,
Yeah.
let's talk. Your big cap heavy. Andrew Ferris is basically like just in line with more or less everything you say from what I've heard. Tell us how can media buyers or brand owners or whatever you want to call it, anyone spending money on ads, win today and create a competitive edge, assuming they have creative production and tools and everything. How do they win in the ad account today?
Well, the strategy didn't change with Andromeda, because we've been launching a tons of creatives before that. So the biggest unlock is the creative volume. So if the creative production is there, I don't see any reason not to launch that many creatives. And as Taylor Holiday says, no spend is better than bad spend. That leads me to a point that the biggest unlock could happen by first ditching testing campaigns at all, because like each campaign is a test, and if it spends, you pass the test. If it doesn't spend under the bid cap, well, you basically got response from Meta that this test is failed, got the learnings that this creative is bad for some reason, and you can produce more of those that pass the test. So this is basically the unlock. And the second unlock is following from the first one, and it's the mindset shift, I would say, because not every ad deserves spends, right? So, but you as a human, you can be so biased, so tied to the effort that you put into this ad. So for example, you've been working on this script or this concept, like you love this, but for some reason it doesn't spend. All right, so you are getting the pure response from the audience, not even from Meta. Like you get response from the audience you advertise to, because like I treat it as your conversation with the crowd. Like imagine that you are standing in front of 1,000 people and raising the banner, which is your creative. So the part of this audience need to raise the hand and say, okay, that's for me. So if no one raises the hand, it means that your creative is not catchy enough, not interesting enough for the audience to raise the hand. So this kind of a mind shift that we need to spend that amount of money to get the statistical significance, like, is a total nonsense for me. Why? Because like if Meta doesn't spend, again, it's so smart, and it can connect the dots between the metrics it is getting in the very beginning, like CPM, CTR, and conversion rate, that it just cuts the spend at the very beginning, understanding that, for example, your CTR is too low and you are getting expensive clicks, right? So this creative doesn't deserve spend, because it's like we've just distributed 100 impressions, and we understand in the very beginning that the spend should be suppressed. So these are the overall algorithm understanding mind shifts that help to switch the approach to the media buying.
So let me challenge this idea. This is assuming that the CAC target you have, the acquisition cost, whether it's cost per purchase or cost per lead, doesn't matter, is realistic. Because, for example, if I sell something, if I'm selling boats on Facebook and they retail for, let's say it's like a basic boat, retails for, I don't know what boats go for. Let's assume $1,000 or $2,000. If I put a $10 cost per purchase in, it doesn't matter how many ads I test, it's probably not going to deliver, right?
Yes, and the question is, the goal should be realistic, right? What do you purchase from Meta? You are not purchasing sales. You are not purchasing clicks, right? You are purchasing impressions. And each impression has its own chance of conversion. So your goal as an advertiser is to be able to filter out those impressions with the lower chances of conversion and to advertise to those to buy those impressions that have high chances of conversions. And the cost of those impressions is defined by the marketplace by CPM, right? The cost of 1,000 impressions. So you have the cost of impression and you have the CTR. And basically, by connecting these two dots, you understand the cost per click. If your cost per click is expensive, no polished and super converting page will save you. Yes, it may save you when the cost per click is at a reasonable price. And the same applies to the conversion rate on the website itself. If your conversion rate is very low, you cannot increase the CTR infinitely to reduce the cost per click. That's why you need to set up the realistic goals to make the math work, and not just magically rely on beat caps and hope that, okay, this creative would work. There is still a lot of math behind that.
So here's my biggest frustration with using big caps, cost caps, any type of cost control, aside from just going full Chad with AutoBid, specifically to the affiliate marketing space, because in my opinion, most targets that networks give you, or payouts, I should say, are often unrealistic unless you promise something outrageous or also unrealistic.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on this? Because you're in all the affiliate chats, you see it and you hear it, right?
Yeah, we've been running a lot of affiliate insurance, car insurance, and as we discussed in the chat, aggressive angles are made for that. So why do aggressive angles work? That's just because the math comes from the rock bottom payouts. The payouts are unrealistically low. That's why affiliates are forced to come up with something that instantly grabs attention, like clickbaity creatives with the insane CTRs, like 10%, 12%. Like the guy just showed me the account on sweepstakes with like 10 to 12% CTR. It means that they are forced to reduce the cost per click based on that, right? And in this case, yes, the math work with the cheap clicks. Otherwise, it's not the beat caps that don't spend. It's not the algorithm or method that doesn't give you cheap conversions. It's just the math buries everything down wall.
So on the side of all the brands you work with, they have LTV, they have a different kind of unit of economics, yep. Right? They are the owner of the offer, if you will, if we're talking like comparison of affiliate lead gen to true brands, right? What do you see big caps consistently working for brands that embrace them with the assumption that they've already worked their unit of economics, so there is LTV, so they have a healthy CAC target, and they're producing creatives in volume?
Yeah, absolutely. But every product has its own nature. So imagine you are selling pillows. Like, when will you purchase the next pillow?
Well, I just bought a bunch of pillows. I just bought a house. So that's there you go. I haven't bought one in 3 years. When will your next purchase
happen? Like probably in 2-3 years. That's why this kind of brands, they cannot rely on LTV and they need to be profitable on the first purchase. And one of the brands we work with, like, we are spending more than 100K per day selling freaking pillows. Like, this is that client.
Well, what's the TAM? Like the market's, what is that, total
addressable market?
Yeah. Like what is that worldwide? Is that just US? Is that Europe, where there's like a different arbitrage?
It's the UK market. So big, but not the biggest one in the world.
That's impressive. That's really impressive.
Like, getting back to the unit economics. From the flip side, we have the supplement brands that are willing to pay for negative ROAS on the first purchase, because like the next bottle you will buy will be in the next month. So yeah, like still the CAC, the target CAC is not the magical number that comes from the business owner desire. It comes from the unit economics, and which is based on the cost of goods, on like shipping from China, on packaging, whatever. And sometimes, the scaling and the unlock it lies outside of the bid cap settings, outside of the ad account. Probably you need maybe negotiate some costs with Chinese guys. Like Russ is much better on this type of the business advice than me. Russ, maybe you can dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, essentially, like a lot of brands that we see that are struggling to scale. Usually, their problem is not marketing. Sometimes it lies like in the realm of marketing, but especially like smaller brands, they just don't have like their backend dialed in to be able to scale. I mean, like for example, their payment terms with their manufacturers, like they pay and they get the product in 60 days. For example, like this is create like a lot of cash flow problems. And then, for example, they have their payment processing, where they're overpaying. For example, if they would switch like to something better, they would get better margins on their products, etc. So there are a lot of things that brands like really do not optimize on the back end. Usually, it just like comes down to optimizing their manufacturing deals that they have with the factories where they produce it. And unfortunately, it's not always marketing that can fix all the holes that the business has on the back end. Like we know like some of the great businesses that we work with, like they have terms where they pay for because they have good relationships with the factories, with the manufacturer. They pay, at the point when they receive the product, or even they have like 30 days payment terms. So how big of a difference that makes for the business? You need to pay for the product that you produced 60 days prior before you actually get the product, or you have to pay them 30 days after you already got the product. So you have this massive amount of money, for example, that you pour into the marketing instead of just paying, your manufacturer upfront. That makes a big difference. So I think a lot of businesses just need to pay a little bit more attention to that, and how to find new manufacturers that will cost less, how to optimize the cost of the shipping as well, because those things just piles up, and then the brand comes and they say, okay, so we want 4x ROAS on the acquisition. Why? Because this is payment terms for the manufacturers. We have the upside, the operational cost. Our shipping is like 10% of our product, or 50% of our product cost, etc. So all of these things are like supposed to be just magically fixed by just better marketing. But we are living in the realm in the auction on map, in the auction for search keywords, for example, on Google. There is brand that has to pay 30 days after they receive the product, and we have to invest all this money upfront and wait for the product. Who will win? Who will have more runway? Who will have more finances to scale? And there is a brand. Let's say we'll take two brands like in the same niche, supplements. One brand really needs to get 2x return on ad spend on acquisition, because otherwise their unit economic is not working, because their retention is not good as well. Their work with the Klaviyo email SMS, for example, that they're doing for retention is not good. Their subscription churn is very high. And there is another brand that, again, from a manufacturer perspective, pay, after they receive the product, their unit economic is dialed in, their shipping is very cheap, and their retention is great because they pay attention to their branding, they pay attention to the communication after the purchase, after the person purchased something, and they're willing to get one extra return ad spend, or like only for example, like let's say like 0.8 to 0.9 or something like that on acquisition. Like how good the marketing should be for that brand with the kind of like similar product that needs 2x return ad spend, compared to that brand that just needs 0.9. Like that brand with 0.9 target ROAS, like would eat alive all of the market share of this brand, and this brand will not survive. So this is like where the power, and again, for these things you can use AI too. I mean, to optimize your cost, because you don't know how to approach your manufacturer. Ask AI to write a letter that will be persuasive. You don't know how to do like this the things about the email marketing. Just to go and just ask AI how to do it better, and what to look for when you hire like email SMS marketing team to work with retention, or how
Or
you
hire
can.
you to do it all for them, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So from foundation perspective, like for a lot of brands, unfortunately, it looks like the brands that don't optimize their backend are going to lose in the long run. because those who have more resources they have more better unit economics will eat them alive, because we are in the same auction at the end of the day on Meta. And we are in the same auction on Google, and we same in the same auction on X if someone advertising on X, etc.
I think
So
what you're saying here too, in the world of e-com with physical goods more so, whether it's supplements or actual like products outside of supplements, I think the same lesson and idea applies to lead gen. I don't. It's just you're arbitraging a service or
yeah,
like something digital versus something physical more so. It's the same exact idea. I think this
yeah,
is
okay.
also why a lot of affiliates struggle too, right?
Yeah, let's take like for example like a Legion, and there is insurance, for example, right? Like we're selling, car insurance. We'll compare, one company on the back end that is like taking the leads, and they are calling them like in a couple of hours, so maybe like the next day or something like that, working with these leads. And there is another company that is like employing AI and just rebuilding their call centers, so it's not people are working there, but very smart agents, voice agents, 11 Labs, for example, like the voice is great. And then on the back end, there's, let's say GPT 5.3 in terms of like how fast and what it can respond to. And this lead's getting called like the next minute when the lead comes into the CRM. And it's scale. And if it's in some day it's like 10 times more leads than before, there is no issue that, oh, how we will scale because we have that many people in our call center, because there are no people. They're just AI. You just dial in more AI connected calls, and that's it. So those guys will win everywhere, like in SaaS as well. Like how good, your optimization in terms of the, releasing new features, how fast you release new features compared to the competitors. If you embrace AI, you do it faster. You release a couple of days. Like for example, Versal is a good example of the company, that just releasing like constantly every day, couple of updates. Railway, a lot of updates. Cloudflare, they're just releasing constantly. You cannot compete with them if you say, "Oh, I'm so good of a developer, I'm not going to embrace AI because my code is better." No, man, like it is not.
And I
You
love
just
that
have,
you're saying this because you are a developer. Like
yeah.
that's so important.
Of course, I mean, I cannot. I mean, we're at the pivoting point where, at some point, at every little thing, pretty much, AI will be better than us. We are just, kind of like we will ended up being like orchestrator of all of these things. Uh, when it will come to the point where orchestration will not be needed as well, so that's a little bit scary. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Guys, so let's wrap up the meta side. So if you could summarize start to finish, someone like building a new, let's say they're going live with traffic, they have a lot of creative production already. Like just give me like the bullet points of how they would start on Meta, and then how they would create success at scale.
So first of all, like take a piece of paper and draw the process. Like how will you produce those creators? Because asking Claude in the chat, like come up with 10 different ideas, like it won't work at scale. So like how I did it for myself. We do the product research, then audience research, then mind states research. It's the book by Will Leach. It's called Marketing to Mind States. Very good one. So those three researches are made. Then you, based on those three, you can come up with angles. Based on the angles, you can come up with concepts, and based on the concepts, you can like distribute them and produce infinitely. So once you have angles, you can like concepts, they sit on top of the angle. So for example, if it's a Zippo lighter, it can be a source of fire, it can be the gift to the boss, right? Or like how do you call it, like gadget, that a clicker, whatever. So once you, like for example, if you position it as a source of fire, the concept of the creative can sit on top of that. It can be like us versus cheaper lighters, or testimonial, or whatever. So it can like be presented in many different formats. Once you have the winning angle, like then the sky is the limit. The goal is to produce first, like 10, 20 angles, and then based on that, like each angle deserves, from 5 to 10 different variations of the concept itself. So it's already around 200 pages. Something will stick there. You will see that this angle and this format show the signs of life. Based on that, you know where to go and how to produce more of those. So that's the biggest unlock probably.
So that's your creative. Once you deploy that creative and you start testing, just bullet point the structure for me. Is it one campaign, just new ad set for every batch, or do you do a new campaign, same bid but fresh creatives?
So we had a chance to hop on the call with real meta developers, like George. He is the team lead of the bidding team. So they reached out to us and hopped on the call. And I asked the same question: what's the perfect structure? And the interesting thing, they told us that the campaign structure doesn't matter that much, and they recommended to treat the campaigns and the assets as just folders for the media buying simplification, because the majority of the learnings is still happening on the creative level. And that was something new. And by the way, that's why if you duplicate the spender, the creative that is proven in the ad account into the other campaign, it instantly gets the spend. Why? Not because it has a ton of comments and reactions. It's because it has the learnings on its level. So getting back to the campaign structure, I usually add from 10 to 20 ads per ad set. Prior to Andromeda, I used to run 1 ad per ad set. Then in the middle of August, I see that there is a decline in spend. Then I started to test these super consolidated structures, 50 ads per ad set. And yeah, it works, but the amount of false negatives where Meta doesn't deliver the impressions to the ads that I'm more likely to perform, the amount of false negatives is higher. That's why I've tested multiple types of the structures, and now I usually stick to 10 to 20 ads per ad set, and I usually run as few campaigns as possible. If you have multiple creative teams, I would just separate the campaigns by creative team. Why? Because it's just easier from the campaign management standpoint, because you can see from the first glance which team performs better.
When you deploy 10 ads, let's say in an ad set, as per example, are those just the same video, different hooks, or is it true creative diversity, like they're pushing with not just Andromeda, but also the more recent update?
Isn't different hooks a true creative diversity?
To me, it is. But if you look at Meta's documentation and recommendations, is that they want something completely unique, like an image of the product, and then a video of the person holding it, and then a POV first person phone recording walking around the store to get it. That's, from my interpretation of what Meta recommends as best, that is what they want with diversity. To me, diversity is same video or same image with an iteration.
As long as we have the AI under the hood, why not to follow both paths? So fully diverse video that are chopped into hook, lead, and body part. So this is the approach. So I don't have to choose whether I need a new concept or whether I need just to change the hooks. But I can share some sauce on the recent test that I made. Tactical and practical. So when you have, for example, 10 hooks, 10 leads, and 1 body part, you can mix and match them and come up with 100 creatives. So I've ran a test where the purpose of the test was to find the best launching structure. We all love structures. So one setup was where you build the ad set around hooks. So hook 1 across all the creatives in the ad set. So hook 1, lead 1, hook 1, lead 2, hook 1, lead 10. So all the ads in the ad set have the same hook. And the second setup was built around leads. So hook 1, lead 1, hook 2, lead 1, hook 10, lead 1. So the hooks are different and the lead is the same. So the second structure, where you have diverse hooks, perform so much better and get the spend instantly, because probably the beginning of the creative is much more important. So now I stick to this structure, to this kind of launching methodology.
So let's backtrack. One last thing around like structure and settings for this initial launch. So let's say you kind of know your CAC ballpark. Let's say you average $50 and you're happy with that. If you ran auto bid, your favorite auto bid, right? Or past history with spending, you see around $50, you get like good volume, and that works for your unit economics. Where do you place the bid? Do you bid like 20% over and then inflate the budget to like $100,000 a day? Like what about those additional what about the there's my camera. What about the settings around that?
The short answer, I usually start the bid high at 30% above the target cost. But there is a whole theory behind that, like why I do that, not just because I need to inflate that. So the short answer, yes, inflate the bid by a little bit. And if you are in the very beginning, you can inflate the bid even further to get the initial spend, but not just, we need to start getting at least some spend. Like the goal of the initial launch is to emulate the behavior of the automatic bidding. So in the very beginning, when we like 5x the bid, don't inflate the budget, because when you inflate the bid too much, the campaign starts to behave like automatic bidding. So you should treat it as the automatic bidding campaign and don't expect the super result there. But once you start hitting your daily budget, in this case, you can start suppressing the bid there until you start spending a little bit lower than the daily budget, right? Because the goal is to never hit your daily budget. And once you are at that number, then you can start inflating the budget. That's basically the process.
But with this type of approach with manual bids, I'm assuming you throw out the window 20% budget increases like they also recommend.
Why not 15%? Why not 34? Why not 5? Why not 2,000%?
Exactly my point. You could jump your budget. Let's say you're starting for the first time. You go 30% of your bid. You start the campaign at $1,000 a day. You get like 30% of the budget to spend. The CPP, whatever is super good. There's nothing wrong with jumping that $1,000 budget to $10,000, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the attempts to rule the spend with the budget always puts you into the mistaken position, because on the days with higher demand, you will be always underspending because you don't know how much of a volume you can handle today. So you don't know how much to increase the budget. On the flip side, on the days with lower demand, you never know how much to drop the budget, right? That's why we rely on bids, because they regulate the spend based on the information, based on the data they have, and we don't. So it's not that I'm not trusting myself, like that I'm a bad media buyer. I just trust Meta more than myself, in terms of like picking the proper time to spend.
Yeah, and also every day is a different day. Every day is unique in the same sense. There's like tons of statistics built into the algorithm, or at least we hope there is. But every day is gonna be different. We're still selling to humans, right?
Imagine Walmart on Wednesday morning. Imagine Walmart on Sunday afternoon.
Exactly. And then the next week, if there's a Super Bowl, or the next week if there's a holiday, or the next week if there's bad weather, right?
Yep.
Cool. Well, that makes Meta easy. Let's jump over to the world of Google, Russ. Break it down. What's working today, and how are you creating an edge for not just you as a service-based agency, but for your clients, for these brands you help?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think just to simplify and also at the same time give the understanding, like in regards to the Google and how Google is different compared to Meta. Like if we were talking about the Meta, we're talking primarily about the image ads and video ads, right? So on Google, we're living in a little bit different realm, because on Google we have that layer too that Meta has, which is living inside of YouTube. So we can run demand gen campaigns, which will have the videos inside. So it's kind of like the parallel to Meta, video ads. And we have the placements like Discovery and Display, Gmail, and others, where we can show our image ads. So this is like where, similarities between these two channels pretty much like end. But the main channels that we work with, we'll go to demand gen as well. The main channels that we work with on Google are search and the shopping. Essentially, for the user, they look the same. Again, just to understand like how Google advertise, because I guess the majority of the audience is running Meta ads. But on Google, like we have these different realms, and the deliverables or the campaigns that we're launching look completely different. For demand gen, they look kind of like similar to what we have on Meta. But for search and shopping, those are completely different campaigns with a different set of deliverables. So how the search and shopping looks like, obviously, as soon as we go on Google, we search for something, and we see like normal search results over there in the form of titles and descriptions, no pictures. But as soon as we're looking for something that is a physical product, like buy, a cocktail dress or something like that, then on the top we will see these shopping placements. So we as the Google marketers, we're working with all of these placements, and the deliverables, again, as I said, like the structure of the campaigns are completely different for all of this, for all these placements. Now, before the podcast, I kind of like went in the developer way to prepare for it.
Beautiful.
I don't know. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so what I did. Okay, so I said I'm going, on the podcast with handsome John Costa, and just prepare for me the plan. What we should talk about, like in regards to the systems that we have. And I asked Clockhouse to do that inside of the project where I work on the accounts pretty much. And what I did is pretty much like I have all the systems and agents and sub agents that are working inside of this project, and obviously Cloud Code understand all of it. So he just prepared this plan for me. Not a beautiful presentation, but again, pardon me, I'm a developer. For me, this is beautiful presentation actually. So just to explain like what we're doing like for Google, and what is the competitive edge. When we start working with, and this is where this part is very similar to what Andrei is doing. When we start working with the brand for Google Ads, first of all, we need to onboard that brand. So for this, we have the specific agent with a couple of sub agents inside. So this is the kind of like strategic foundation. So as a part of the onboarding, we take the link to, and again, just to understand how AI makes the things simpler for us, that we take the link to the website and take the link to the original feed that brand has, shopping, like what kind of products they have on the website. And the agent is going all of the heavy lifting in terms of understanding the brand itself. So it goes to the Shopify store or not Shopify store. It pulls the site link map of that store and understand the structure of the website, what collections that brand has, what products that brand has. And FAT means that like scrape pretty much like everything that their brand has on their Shopify store. Collections, products, all of the landing pages that they publish on Shopify, etc. And create the files with all of this information and use that information later on to get a full picture of what that brand is about and what they're selling and what are the angles and what are the competitive advantages, etc. Just to summarize that guide, but also save raw data. And then based on what this brand is about and what kind of products they have, we have integrations with the SERP APIs where the agent is going and start to inquire from the SERP API what keywords are there for this brand to advertise on, for search and for shopping. Because again, in realm of shopping, we live inside of the search result page, so our products are shown there based on what people are searching. So we need to create this semantic core pretty much that we will be using later on to create our search shopping campaigns. So as you can see, like it's doing a lot of research in here, and for every brand that we onboard, even initially, as soon as we onboard it into the project, it's creating the cache of the keywords from 1,300 to 2,500 keywords. This takes the AI agent probably around 40 minutes.
How long? You cut out.
Probably takes about 40 minutes to do. For the person to go and do the research of 2,500 keywords, and again, not random, but based on all of the products that they have for each product to find the keyword, I don't know, it's just like a week, 1 week of a job, or even more if you do this with just general, I don't know, keyword planner or something like that, even if you're using like Ahrefs or SEMrush and these kind of tools. So it takes a lot of time to find this initial core. And then what it does is that it expanded because, okay, so there's this basic keywords and it expanded to more longer tail keywords. And also it does it per market. We have some of the brands that we work, we work with some of the brands where it's not only one market, it's a couple of markets. So what this tool is doing is that it's going and just, okay, US market, this is the keywords. And it's just not only keywords, it's getting data. This keyword, this is amount of the search volume per month. This is cost per click on average, and this is competition. There are more of additional data there, but this is what we care about because we want to find the keywords for which we want to position our products that actually have the search volume. So we're not shooting blank, and just imagine, okay, so maybe we should do this and that and those type of the campaigns. So he's doing all of these queries and also doing the competitive research. As you can see, like there are a lot of layers in here to uncover additional angles. And why this is important? Because this onboarding session, which is done pretty much only once, and then we augment it like as soon as we work on the on Google Ads for this brand, is that it creates this strategic DNA that feeds every downstream commands that we have inside of this internal tool for Google Ads, being shopping feeds, being search ads, being demand gen campaigns, being pre-sale pages that we are going to create as well for this brand to capture this top of the funnel search traffic. And we'll talk about this in detail in there. So it saves all of this, right?
As context for everything.
Exactly. It's like we need to give the AI full understanding of the brand, not just one prompt. Oh, we are the brand this, and we are targeting these people, etc. I don't even need to do that because AI is so good in after analyzing the full scope of what the brand has on the website to understand who we're selling to, what kind of user personas, what kind of angles, what kind of search keywords, etc. That for me, I can add maybe just a little bit on top of it, what I think maybe makes sense for us to test and run it through the keyword research if that actually makes sense. But usually, this research is so comprehensive that for me, I don't need too much to edit it or something. I actually don't remember if I edited it like in the past 3 or 4 months at all for the new onboardings.
How do you store this context for it not to forget and hallucinate?
Okay, good question. So I mean, like on the left, we have like these different products. So LLM is really great in terms of LLM is really great with working with the specific types of the files. Those files usually just the text files, which people can easily read. Those are just MD files, markdown files. Why? Because the core and the foundation of LLM is the language. So it just needs to have the language in there that it can read. So for every product research, for every collection research, it just creates a separate MD file over there.
But you need to prompt it to do so. It's not going to do it on its own.
Yeah, so this is why I said like in the beginning, like why this is just not correct prompting. Like with the prompting, you can start building this system like this, but essentially what you want is replicable design of the tool. So how you get replicable outcome from this tool is because you create what's called like skills or commands for every single thing that you need to do in whatever sequence you want to do. So we talked about brand on board. Okay, so that agent contains probably like 3,000 or 4,000 lines, which I didn't write manually myself, but I uncovered with the agents and thought through. So it's just the process of building that agent. And now, as soon as I want to onboard a brand, I just invoke that agent, and this agent goes. And I can leave it for a couple of hours, like in 2-3 hours. It will do all of this research, all of these keywords, inquire through APIs, scrape all of the pages, save everything in the structure that will be useful, and comfortable for AI to be used in the future. So this is like the fundamental concept of working with the projects on the local computer with the Cloud Code or Codex, is that when you just use the Chat GPT, you just closed, for example, your chat with the chatbot, and you start from scratch, or you hit the limit of the conversation, you start from scratch, or your conversation just become unbearably long, and the agents start to hallucinate. Why? The system that we're using will not hallucinate, because as soon as I want to do something with it, I just open the new session with a new, fresh context window. But the agent knows that we have all of these things available at any time. As soon as the agent needs that, it needs information about this, it goes to that MD file. It needs to understand the products, it goes to the JSON file that has structured data about the products. So it has its fingerprints, prints all of the information, and we don't need to have it all the time loaded. We just need to have loaded like a general context about the brand. But as soon as we want to put that product, this search campaign, that search campaign, etc., it can go ahead and just get the full context of that, because it all saves. This is where it's fundamentally different compared to just working with chat, or the chatbot with the general prompting. So it's just like a huge database that gets stored locally. Does that answer your question?
That's crazy, man. That was amazing. It's such a, and I'm learning this because I'm going like head in. Like I said, I'm not a dev, right? But I'm learning how to use these tools, and I'm. This makes complete sense to me now, right? Like, because that's a recurring issue if you don't understand it.
Yeah, in some of the things you don't even need to, sometimes. So like when I started to build this thing, I was just thinking like I need to be, and this is what anthropic engineers are saying. Obviously, like this is on the so much smaller scale, but still, like what they're saying is that they started to build like these models, but then at some point they just stopped understand completely how these models are working. It's just working. There is this internal mechanics over there, but nobody like actually can understand and properly like uh, forecast, the outcome and how this outcome is generated. So it's kind of like the same, becoming for me obvious when you're using these systems, is that sometimes with all of this, project structures, etc. Initially, I was just a little bit too limited. Is that, oh, I need this file here, I need this file in here. But at some point, it started to grow, and there's so much more features that we've built like on top of this. Is that at some point, it started to structure. You see like these files for the product pages, product research, etc. Like this is what I'm talking about, like local stored data for all of the things that the brand has. I don't even need to go into these files. The agent has the registry of all of these things there. As soon as it needs something, it will go and take it, and I no need to keep track of it. And as soon as it researches something more, it will put it into the right place. So I'm not necessarily need to tinker around where exactly I need to store what. At some point, like that is something that you would not like to do, and it will be actually hurting like how your agent is working. Just let it do the things that it does the best. It's just working with this massive amounts of data.
You just need it. You're almost like just dumping it into like a big bucket, and it's able to recall correctly if you structure it from the right way to begin with.
Yes, the only change in this sentence I would do is that it's not I'm dumping it. It's more like I'm just giving it what we need to do, and then whatever bucket it wants to create it themselves. So it just goes and just research and save it like whatever it's needed. It just goes and goes and save it. The only thing is that like I'm as the operator is doing is that high level, like I'm working on improvements of the processes that I have in the sub agent or agent and its sub agents. And then as soon as I build functionality on that layer, all of the underlying things that it's doing, it's none of my business essentially. What files and where it's saving, it should be like somehow manageable structure of the project, but whatever is comfortable for the agent to work with. And this is where you need to give the agent a little bit more freedom to do that, not to be stuck in the whatever brackets you have, like how the project needs to be structured.
Interesting.
Even though like I want to outcome be structured. So that's why like at the end of the day, like it's when it is generating for me the search campaigns, when it's generating for me the segments with the shopping feeds inside, I want to have structure that I see and understand, right? And it can give you that. But in terms of like internal moving parts, we're at the point where you're not really can keep up with that if you want to move fast as the AI moving fast, if that makes sense.
So I'm going to jump ahead. I see it already. Optimization. This is what I'm most curious about.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about this realm of search campaigns, shopping campaigns, and demand gen. Now,
Right.
if we will just go deeper into this, like let's just take, because this is the first pipeline, which is usually on every account, which is e-commerce brand, is like the biggest one because shopping is the most quality traffic that Google has. It's like those people who are searching to buy the Nike, the cocktail dress. They see this shopping placements on the top with the picture, with the price, with the title, and with the name of the brand. It is very powerful placement because people see, most importantly, the price right away, right? Because in the shopping placement, you need to have the price and also see how the product looks like, etc. So this is dominant on what I'm working on. So I have this pipeline. As you can see, like there's a feed segment, feed rewrite, and feed deploy. So these three things are what they're doing. I'm taking the original. So what most brands are doing and they're doing wrong is that they have Shopify store, they have their products published on the Shopify store, and they think that, okay, so I will install Google and YouTube app and just supply my products as they are on the store to Google Merchant Center, and then I will launch them in the Shopping on PMAS campaign on Google Ads, and I should be fine. Google will be super smart to find me the buyers, and everything will be great, and ROAS will be skyrocketing. Why this is wrong? Because it's kind of like the same as a matter. What you feed the machine, that's what kind of outcome you get back. If your product is called, I don't know, calcium supplement, whatever, on your store, if you supply that product with that title, just the short title from your store, and then there is no detailed description, and your additional attributes like product highlights or product type or gender, age, color for some of the brands that make sense. There are over 100 different additional attributes that Google Merchant Center expect from you. Usually it's down to 31, 32, the main ones that applies to all of the Shopify stores. If you don't have that, you can like throw in the product into Google with very type of the title, and it just one. But the way shopping works is that Google is targeting those search keywords that fit your description and Google's understanding of your product. If you don't give enough understanding of your product to Google, then it will start showing your product to some random things, and you will have very low quality score as well for those impressions that you're going to get. So what I'm doing is that there's a client, they have 500 SKUs in the store. I don't want to run the one shopping or PMS with 500 SKUs. That would be like just too many things at the same time with different final URLs, etc. This is what I'm doing in the feed segment. So what feed segment is doing is that it takes that and it divides it to multiple segments. It could be 10, 20, 30. The bigger the catalog, the more segments I will have, and the more angles I can present the product with, the product cluster with, the more segments I will have. Just to give you an example, like one same thing can can be sold under different angles. You understand that because you're running Meta ads. Like on Meta, angles is kind of like very commonly um, accepted term is that, oh, you can take one product, you can run it with this angle, with that angle, with 5, 10 different angles or maybe more. On Google, it's the same thing. You can take like the same product and you can rewrite their titles and descriptions and product highlights and everything with 5 or 10 different angles just to multiply for search keywords. Because if you're selling this dress as a cocktail dress, you need to have that in title and description, and in the shopping campaign, Google will go and show you this ad to people who are searching for that dress that way. If you supply this same product at the same time with different, slightly modified product ID, but title and descriptions written different way, let's say, for example, like evening dress, or because semantics are very important, then that campaign separately launched with that product will go after those type of the keywords and that type of the audience, et cetera, et cetera. So you can, again, do the analogy for, for the supplements, for pretty much like every industry. Every product can be sold with different angles. So this is what, pretty much no one is doing, is that at least automatically, manually, some folks I see on X is kind of like coming into that, oh, actually I can run, the same products with different angles on shopping. But I didn't see anyone doing this at that scale. So what I'm doing, like I'm starting to work with a new client on the day 5, pretty much like after starting to work, after I did all the onboarding, competitor research with all those agents. On day 5, I will probably start running like 10 or 15 different segments of their products from the store, launched in separate campaigns, rewritten under different angles, and segmented in a way which makes sense. So this is what this campaign pipeline is doing. And you see, like, there's very interesting one, which is feed deploy. And while speaking about this one, I will tell also like why using AI agents is beneficial. The last time I deployed the feed into Google Merchant Center probably was 6 months ago or something like that, manually.
Wow.
So as soon as I have the feed in my system in here, I've built a Shopify app that automatically getting the feed now from Shopify, getting every day through cron automation. The price, the sale price, availability, quantity to sell, because we want on the shopping to have like current inventory. So every day, the server on Railway is pulling this data, this app on Shopify, update the feeds locally in my system in here, and then because I have Google Ads API connected, pushing and Google Merchant Center, it's Merchant API, that's how it's called. It's pushing all of these feeds and update this feed in Merchant Center every day. If I want to do it like every 6 hours, if this is necessary for update of the inventory, we can do that as well. But I find that daily is pretty much enough. But it's updating all of the versions of the segment feeds under different angles. So this is where the system saves me so much time, because as soon as we've written like new feeds, we deploy them into as the separate feed in Google Merchant Center, and then to launch that one, and this is like the next point there, is that to launch this campaign on Google Ads, I also have the connection with the Google Ads API, and because everything tracked properly for what feeds we deploy in the Merchant Center, I can just launch the feed upload command, and it will go and create a campaign on the Google Ad account of the client, because I have all of the IDs again stored in my local project. So you see how it all like comes into play as soon as you know how to work with these integrations, and also the work, like the cool work also can be automated and so much better than you can do. But because imagine you have 500 products and you want to launch them with 5 different angles each, so you will end up with 2,500 rows of products, and each row has attributes in it. Title, which will be 250 characters, description, which will be under 1,000. Yeah, I like to keep them under 1,000 characters, and all of the other things that you need to go and just manually type in, like color, this, size, this, product highlights, 5 points that show on the shopping. You type them down. A human cannot do that.
No.
Fast. AI can do that. Now with the Cloud Code, I can, there's a new feature of Cloud Code called agent teams, which I started to use like pretty extensively. So we've had agents and we've had sub agents. So it's kind of like helpers of the main agent. So now you can launch like a swarm of the agents with a team lead. So imagine it's like a structure. There's a CEO, there are executives. A CEO is the team lead. There are executives, which are agents, and there are linear stuff, which are sub-agents. And you launch all of this structure in one command. Each of those get the separate brain, which is in terms of AI called context window, and all of these things work at the same time. Of course, they burn, and this is like what we talk about, like with the clients as well, want to start working with us, and they're like, oh, there's retainer, there's percentage of the ad spend fee, like retainer is high, even though it's not that high. But so the point is that like, guys, like we're burning through tokens so fast because nobody can, because with these systems, you can launch things so fast. You see that with Meta, with creation of the Meta creatives. You can create like hundreds or even thousands of creatives per day with the systems, with automation through API. And that costs a lot of money. All of these APIs, unfortunately, are not free, which is, that's the business. So all of these things here are happening as well in the realm of the shopping as well. And we do the same for search. Like, for example, I can show you some of the accounts that, we onboarded like 5 days ago. And now we have about like 12 search campaigns over there. Each search campaign has 5 to 6 ad groups of clusterized search keywords per angle. And each of those have 3 RSAs, because this is maximum for Google, responsive search ads. Each of those contain 15 headlines and 4 descriptions. Everything is tailored. If you multiply the quality score of that search ad, it will be excellent for all of them, because very limited amount of the keywords in the angle, RSAs that written specifically to match these keywords, and that creates this perfect quality score, which lowers the cost per clicks from search dramatically and get you up to the in the auctions on Google Ads. So that's another thing. If you would like to launch like the majority of the accounts that I see and coming from the to me, for example, I look at one search campaign's running. One search campaign, or maybe like a couple of ad groups, and that account got developed in years. Or they have a couple of search campaigns, for example, a couple of ad groups, but nobody does like this very tailored, what pay for each product, 5, 6, 10 different angles inside ad groups, and tailored responsive search ads for each specific angle, because it is time consuming. I know that, like that is like the worst part of my, when I need to go and write all of this down, because manually it's so slow. And that's where this thing is. There's this one, which is like, again, you want to write all of this down, with AI, but you don't want to upload them manually. Imagine like upload all of this, search campaigns with the copy paste every title, description, in every ad. Like, for example, yesterday I launched for the new client 200 plus search campaigns, 200 plus search ads in multiple campaigns. So every responsive search ad contains, as I said, 15 titles and 4 descriptions, and also like Slack over there, etc. So if you're going to do interview, that's just forever. And this is not interesting. The thing is that, AI, one of the things that I love the most is that, my work is interesting, because, the first year you're learning a lot. Then the second year in marketing, you're learning a lot. And then at some point, you just see that you're doing like this repetitive task all over again. And hell, you're just thinking, man, it's just, something's not cool, like onboarding new brand strategy, angles, etc. But all of these repetitive tasks, they're just eating your soul, and you just don't feel like you like the job anymore. And no matter if it's a good money or not, it's just like you just don't feel that you're doing new things, and it's actually cool because you're just repeatedly doing this. On Meta, you know that like as soon as you upload like this 200 creatives manually, for example, to the account, that's the pain in the ass.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, it definitely brings new life to it, and you feel like you're like learning and growing too. But also you have to like if you want to be in doing the same, if you want to be operating at a high level in the next like 6 to 12 months, you have to embrace this, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like this is I think the window of the opportunity because the guys who embrace this will eat a lot of market share because just doing things manually will not be competitive at all. And the thing is that with X and everything, everything is spreading so fast, is that there will be this notion and understanding, okay, so these guys are doing this automatically, this is the right way to do things these days compared to doing it manually. And that's why I think, yeah, just and I think there is enough for all of us, like in regards to the business out there. So I'm not having the illusion is that, oh, like we need to save this, we don't need to show this because no, like everything is public information, everyone can learn. If you don't know a lot of things, AI can help you to learn. We just were lucky and happy with Andrei to actually start doing this very early. So that's why some of the things that I'm showing like kind of like a little bit ahead, and we will continue to move into that direction. But it's never late. It's never late. And also it's actually doing, from the perspective of the ads as well. Like there will be more cool ads. There will be more tailored, nice search ads, not just copy paste, standardized. Because this is like one of the things here as well. In regards to the AI strategy, it's 100% agentic and not template based. Like for example, like there are some of the generators of the feeds, for example, they just templatize like these titles and descriptions. Here. We're doing it fully agentic. It's absolutely unique for every product and not created with the Python pseudocode or automatically. It's just like every single you see like can you picture it in under 0.5 seconds? Memory foam pillow. Yes. I feel better. Like this is basic. For example, can someone true or false? 76% reduction in 4 weeks. This is like good claim. Quality products is like a bad copy, etc. So this is just some of the extremes of the quality control inside, because one of the things is that AI, there's we have this point scoring system inside to some of the subjects are giving feedback to the agents of how good of a job they did. This is very important to manually all the time, check everything and giving feedback. So that's why building this feedback loop is very important for the AI as well. So because one AI agent can be pretty good judge of the quality of what another AI agent produced. And creating this feedback loops, you can imagine it can be super powerful because 98% of all of the maybe slope that can be created potentially, because it's still AI, can be fixed by this feedback loop. But this was more important, I would say, like 6 months ago when Sonnet 4.5 and Opus 4.5 got released. It just became very smart. Now when Opus 4.6 released, this model is just insane. It's expensive, but it is insane in terms of the quality of the copy that it does. I mean, also, I know it's a long rant, but kind of like I'm coming to the to the conclusion here. I just really wanted to show the stuff that we work with. The system that I have in here, like also can build the editorials and listicles and the pre-sale pages too. Because what's important on search is that there is that much of the search volume that you can capture with your search or shopping campaigns that are like a direct sale type of keywords. But also there's so much more that you can capture for 10% of like a fraction of the cost per click compared to direct sale type of the keywords, these top level keywords. But for those, you need to create the editorials and listicles and how-to pages, etc. The problem with that, again, that most of the advertisers have is that it's really tedious and time-consuming to create those, and also expensive. Like CRO agencies to create these landing pages, like it's kind of like slow. I don't see that many actually embrace AI to do it fast. So what I had to do is that I had to build like a system of the agents that will be uncovering this top of the funnel opportunities where the cost per click is 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents. Then discover what we can write about that will be applicable to our product that we want to sell through that editorial, listicle, etc. And another agent will be writing the copy, and another agent will be building the editorial style landing page with that copy. And then there is the final one. I already called about this. Like, I really hate to.
Hey, real quick, your mic's like super fuzzy right now.
I think it's because of the feedback. Because it was
there
like
we go.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Is it better?
Much better.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. It's just like because of the very long rant probably about the Google Ads. Yeah, but essentially, like what I was saying is that this allows to build like this top of the funnel landing pages at scale, where you can capture these clicks for 10 cents, for 15 cents. Obviously, they will be maybe not converting that well as a direct response type of the keywords. But with the proper funnel in place, with that editorial and listicle, etc., usually these campaigns are insanely profitable because you just get these clicks for 15 cents, or 10 cents, or 20 cents. So building the funnels is also very important for Google because, again, we are working in the realm of the people searching for stuff. We want to serve them with the stuff that we are selling under the angle that will be approachable and that will appreciate, in the form of the funnel. Then we have the purchase.
Man, this is amazing. Like this gets me excited. I'm sure some people are probably gonna be terrified when they see this, right? But I think
don't get me wrong. Like, this is terrifying for me. Like, if someone will show me like this, like 1 year ago, and say that I will build this, I would just say, man, like, this is crazy. But you just go, with this just step by step. So, and this is just a fraction of like what is inside. Obviously, I wanted to, be as short as possible. There's so many details in there, but it was already quite a long time to explain all the processes. But this stuff is so freaking cool, man. It's so freaking cool. I just cannot imagine like how cool it is to work at this.
Yeah.
Marketing is not boring anymore.
Guys, it's been awesome having you both on. I could do a whole another 5 episodes just talking about Claude Code and all this cool shit coming out. But in the meantime, how can people learn more about you, connect with you, or if they're looking for a solid agency that can bring this kind of value, how can they also connect with you?
I mean, from my side, and I think the same for Andrei, but like, it's the best way to, and this is like a little bit of advice as well, is that, the best way to vet the operator is just to look into what kind of stuff he's doing on Twitter, how he engaged with other accounts, etc. What he's pushing on Twitter, on X, because there are a lot of like really great operators on X. They're sharing what they're doing. They're very open and transparent. So for us, just go check us. We're an X. We're not like that would be probably the best way to communicate it.
Yeah, if you are banned by Charlie, you are doing good. Like, I got banned by Charlie, But yeah, search for me on X.
That could be like additional point in the checklist. Is that okay? Yeah. There is a tick. This guy's good.
Amazing. Guys, thank you so much. And we'll definitely do a follow-up because I'm sure we'll have a million more things to talk about in a few weeks or months.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.